We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
The month of May has been a very, very interesting month. I'm sure it's the same thing for everybody here. I mean, the conversation also from, the last guest last week has really, really put me in an interesting mood, over the weekend, at the beginning of the weekend. Yep, I think, the conversation we're going to be having today also, flows into what we had with Mofeade, last week. And yep, House Rules, it's the African Millennial Radio Show on Africa Business Radio, and it's Tommy Wale. And yes, again, I have another very, very, very interesting and brilliant guest on the show. How are we doing though? How's everyone doing in Mali, in South Africa, in Ghana, in Senegal, in the UK, in the US? How's everyone doing in Mauritius? I don't know. I'm really, really interested in Mauritius lately. I'm coming to go and do vacation there on Mauritius. Alright, how are we doing though? How's everybody doing? My guest today is someone who I've known for many years now. I think mostly from a distance, and I can say a whole lot of things that he's doing. I'm okay. He's one of those interesting men who are, taking the days and making very, very epic things with it as they go on. And I'm very, very, very honored to have him in the show today. So let me tell you a bit about him, and then you hear his voice and his name afterwards. He's a marketing communication specialist with 5+ years experience in corporate communication, reputation and strategic communication. He currently works as the head of marketing and growth at Savyt. Did I get that?
Yeah.
Savyt, a fintech startup helping drive financial inclusion by advocating for a savings and investment culture amongst Nigerians. Now, prior to this, he was marketing and communications manager at Alpha Mead Group, a total real estate company with operations across 12 African countries. He was formerly senior communications associate at Red Media Africa, where he worked with brands to get their messages through the clutter, engage with their audience, and maintain relationship with stakeholders. He has a whole lot of things in his bag. Muyiwa Babarinde.
Hello.
How are you doing now?
Nice. It's good to be finally here.
Yeah. How's the week been?
Well,
how's the year been?
The year's been great, actually. Everything is getting back to normal now.
Okay.
With COVID last year was really, it was an experience that everybody has not experienced before.
The world was on break.
The world was on break. So, yeah. Things are getting back to normal. People are getting vaccinated, and then, trying to bring a bit of normalcy back into our respective lives. But the year has been great, just trying to make up for some of the lost time from last year. Because I remember it was around this time last year that COVID actually came into our reality.
Reality. I think the lockdown was end of March. Yeah, and then around this time we're all locked in.
Yeah, we're all locked in, right? So I remember I was just talking to somebody this week that, quarantine, vaccination, masks, and all those words, they were not actually things that we could relate to as of February last year. But right now, you want to go out of your house and you're thinking, oh, my wallet, my keys, my phone.
What's left?
My marks, So it's quite interesting though, but it's been a great year and it's been a great week.
Talking about masks, it's just advisable to have one in your pocket, one
in the car.
Just one different places.
Then one for emergency.
Exactly. So in case anything, I have, I have one going on here. And one of the things that I even just think this year is it looks slow, but it's very fast. It's May already. We were saying Happy New Year about 2 minutes ago.
Sure.
That's about half of the month
by
already.
Next month's already half of the year.
Yeah, exactly. By next month, half of the year already, and that's 2021.
But then do you think one of the reasons why that is because we spent a substantial part of last year, on lockdown?
I'm listening.
So now everybody's kind of like outside, people are going back to work, and then the year seems faster.
I don't even know. So I think people are trying to do things with caution. And then days are flying by. I don't know how to place it. It's like a
the phenomenon, right?
This dance used to the creep walk. So it goes forward, goes back. Like, I'm not sure you're trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, just now then all of a sudden it's almost June. Right. And I'm sure a whole lot of businesses too. I don't know. Some people are just going and say, you know what, we're just going to go into this thing and do it. Some are still very, very careful.
Yeah.
Especially with events managers. I don't know how they were really hit last year.
Yeah, they were really hit. I think the hospitality industry was one of the worst hits during COVID, right? There was no way they could actually make revenue, like event centers.
Everybody was home.
Event planners.
Everybody was home.
I mean, even the movies, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've not been to the movies in months. Even though now, I mean, they're taking precautions.
That Fast and Furious is going to get people back into the cinema. We'll see.
Well,
that's one of their violence.
Let's see how fast they can take people inside the movies. Yeah.
Now, looking at the trends of the lockdown and all of that, right? People started becoming content creators.
Yeah.
Right. And then with the current world we live in, where almost everyone can be a content creator. Now, from your personal experience, how important is content creation, especially online, important for sustainable, business growth today?
Okay. Sustainable business growth or development generally?
So development, yes, but then maybe when I put sustainable to keep it going. So it's not just one grown tree that will die in a year time, but then something that, keeps going on.
Okay, absolutely. So, the same way that you look at...
I'm listening.
Yeah, the same way that you look at the human body, right? And the blood plays an essential role in ensuring that, this human continues to live for how long, for how long, right? So the blood plays an essential role. The same way I think content is to businesses, right? And the thing about it is that the essential role it plays is that it helps do a number of things. Number one, it helps you connect to your consumers. It helps you build that relationship with them and grow with them. It helps you also, find out some of the gaps in the marketplace, because the ability of a business to like you said, sustainability, right? To survive for long depends on its ability to meet the needs of the marketplace. So that really, content plays a very, very vital role in ensuring that businesses and brands can always know what their consumers want per time. Because content for content's sake is not the right way to go about it. It should be meeting a pain point. It should be solving a problem in the life of your consumers, right? Okay. It should be providing them more information. And I'm going to use one example, right? One of the I know not so many people will know the story, right? But Michelin, like the tire brand, the first time actually that content marketing was used to kind of like promote a brand was in 1900. Okay. So there were two brothers, Andre and Edouard Michelin. I think the French. Okay. They must be French. And then one of the things they did was, drivers at that particular point, driving wasn't popular. Think about the way crypto is gaining adoption right now, right? Yeah. But crypto is not like the natural way of life of people right now, right? So 200 years ago, people were not used to driving and going to the countryside and having picnics and all that. So they wanted to promote it. So what they did was they created a book. Interesting book. It was filled with all the places where all the sites you could see in France, all the places where you can buy gasoline, that's their own petrol, all the pharmacies where you can change a tire, where you can get it fixed, where to find a mechanic, where to stay overnight in an hotel if you travel, and then they distributed it nationwide. So now, what happened was that people found out that there was another reality that I can actually experience, and then people started driving. And then what that means is that if the demand for tires went from, I don't know, I'm just using layman term now, probably from 10 tons to 50 tons because more people are traveling, Michelin is going to win. So it's interesting, right?
That was smart, actually.
So that's one of the, and I think they had about They printed about 35,000 copies, even though there were only 3,000 cars in France at that time. You know, it helped create massive demand for cars. Massive demand. Actually, so that's the role that content really plays. So it's not just, oh, I want to create content for my consumers. No, what is it going to do what's the end game? Let me use the Avengers, you know, what's the end game? How many scenarios are you looking at, and what does it do for your business? And, you know, sometimes you have to be careful not to fall in love with your voice. And then you fall in love with your voice so much as a brand custodian or as somebody managing a brand or the team managing it, that you project your own, what you want, what you think the market wants onto the market. Ultimately, that's going to fail when it comes to content. You know, you have to like...
Can you shed more light on that, please?
Yeah, so for example, right, I can bring my own bias into a room. Anytime I come into a room, my realities will determine the way I kind of like relate to you. Right? So if I come here, for example, and I believe that probably the art is flat, right? I can come and create content. The art is flat, you know, so buy Michelin tires, you know, so that you can go from point A to point B. But then the world is actually round, you know, and then the consumers are like,
what are you saying?
What are you saying, right? So there has to be an understanding of what the reality is and how best you can meet them, right? So for example, I'll just a random example, maybe a pharmacy brand, right? And then, so I'm a, you know, middle class working professional. My needs will be different from the needs of somebody who is just in university, or a 50-year-old executive who is trying to, you know, who probably gets more tired than I do, you know, because he's more advanced in age. So when I'm creating content for that kind of brand now, for example, how do I create content to speak to the different segments of customers that we have to ensure that my business doesn't die? So I'm maximizing sales when it comes to people in the 20s, in the 30s. I'm maximizing sales when it comes to people in the 50s, right? So basically, that's what it means. Like, how do I look for the pain points of my customers across the different, you know, consumer groups that make up my own customer base, and how can I create content that meets them? So just like Michelin, I can increase demand massively and ensure that my brand that is alive today is alive tomorrow.
Well, I mean, I'm enjoying this, and one of the things I can hear, you know, clearly is it has to solve a problem. You know, and then to the end of even increasing demand. You know, from the what's it called? From the target audience. Now, I want to ask a question. I always hear content creation. I see some pages and I'm like, are these people creating this content? Then I see more of curation. So, just an aside. What's the difference between content creation and content curation?
Well, you know, so content creation is any activity that involves the process of creating some information that you want to pass to your customers, right? Curation is part of it, you know, is a subset of content creation, right? Because you can basically go and look for some content that's been created in the past by different individuals or institutions, organizations, and bring it back to your own audience to help them, you know, achieve whatever goal it is. So curation is basically a subset of the creation part, right? And it can play different roles. So for example, if I want to probably quote data about the world economy, right? I'm not going to go and create new data by myself. I have to cite probably like International Monetary Fund or the World Bank, right? You know, so that plays an active role in passing my message across to the consumer. So I need to look for the authorities in that field, right? If I want to probably create content as I'm managing an amusement park, right? And I want to talk about the importance of fun in ensuring that children can actually grow up to become, you know, well-rounded adults. I want to go and quote Disney, who has probably had, you know, hundreds of millions of rides in Disney parks all over the world, and link the importance, you know, of play to the growth of healthy children. Because I'm just going to use an example where we're in Lagos, you know, on a Wednesday, right? And there's some kids, unlike probably when we were growing up, they don't have, not so many kids have a lot of space to play around and ride their bicycles and, you know, just basically explore themselves. Now that they're old up in their houses, they're exposed to the internet, to mobile phones, you know, YouTube and the likes. So they don't play they're not as physically active as we were when we were growing up. So that's like a pain point, for example. Some parents might not know, but if I was managing an amusement park brand, or I might want to say, you might not have that space, to ensure that, or probably the world has changed, but it's important for you, yes, exactly, to help your children be physically active, because it helps, there was an article I read about a year ago about how, I can't remember what research I was doing at that time, but that's actually what brought the example to me, right? When children play, it helps them achieve, higher cognitive, ability. It helps them be stronger, it helps them be happier, because that's why children, when you leave them in the place.
I'm even thinking, even increases their interpersonal relationships.
Exactly. Because, and then even problem solving. Because there's some games that helps them calculate. That's why when you put them in a place, in a room, they want to scatter everything. They're jumping from the sofa to the floor.
Exactly.
They want to break.
They want outside.
Exactly, right? And so that's like a pain point, for example, for families and for parents. And if I was managing a brand in the hospitality sector, when it comes to amusement parks and the likes, I want to create a content that speaks to that problem. To say, you know what, they can play in a fun way. They can let them play in a fun, safe way. Right. The name of the campaign will be "Let Them Play."
Right. I mean, that's actually.
So that by the time they're home, they're already tired.
Exactly.
And you can have your weekends to, have date nights with your wife and the likes.
I remember growing up, we weren't allowed to go swimming. So I used to get jealous of some of my friends. I used to go swimming.
Can you swim now?
Then, no.
Such a shame. Sorry, man.
I tried to learn how to swim in uni.
Anyways.
I did try to swim at uni, but then I heard that there were a couple of accidents at the same pool. So I said, I'm not doing. Okay. Wow. So my friends tell me then I used to go swim, and then when they get home, they are just exhausted. I just want to sleep. So this thing I just said now, about the kids getting on just sleeping.
Yeah.
I can imagine that maybe that was a deliberate thing that their parents did for them.
Yeah.
So they go to maybe Premier Hotel to swim all day.
Yeah.
And then by the time they get home, they're exhausted.
They're really tired.
And they just go. In content creation and then, for brands, I want to come from the point of organizations and then maybe individuals now and putting their things there. What challenges do you think someone who's trying to create content today could face with our reality in Africa?
Well, so if you look at the challenges, so to speak, it's it really depends on the industry.
Okay.
Right, that you're trying to play. There's some industries that probably policy you can't really speak to some things, like probably the medical industry, pharmaceutical industry, right? For those kind of industries, what they can do is to tell stories about entirely different stories about, probably problem solving that they did at some particular point, right? So if I was a lawyer now, for example, I can't advertise, but I want to talk about how this guy probably lost, 100 million or a couple of 100 million in a deal because they didn't do due diligence by, I'm not even trying to talk about my brand. I'm just telling the story like I'm talking to you, my friend, right? So, different challenges, are faced by brands, but it depends on the specific industry that they're playing in as well. Another thing that some brands could also face is the lack of data, actually. I've spoken about data earlier, right? When you want to create some content, especially some high profile, long form content, probably as a means of information, to really help your consumers at the granular level, you can't really find so much of that data, in the public, So, and I think that's like an African problem. I don't know if I'm speaking for the.
No, you are.
So we can't really say, for example, we had 300,000 people go to these resorts in Gambia or Benin, and they had this awesome experience, and this is the survey that was done for the 300,000 people, and they recommend probably the castle ride over the roller coaster. So some of those gaps exist, things, but when it comes to like in brands themselves, I mean, there should be enough pain points in your industry to be able to create stuff that will be useful to your consumers.
Right.
And then you can create. For example, I tell when I'm discussing with some of my industry colleagues, there's some same type of content I engage with Nigerians, for example. And there are 4 types, right? There is the inspirational content, there's the aspirational content, there is the humorous content, and there's truth. So let me explain, right? Aspirational content. Nigerians, we love we want to have a better life, right? That's one of the reasons why religion thrives so much, right? Because a lot of people go to churches and mosques and all these places to like, I want to make it next tomorrow I wake up, and it's who we are as a nation, right? It's a cultural, fabric. We aspire for the better life. We want to live in bigger houses, bigger cars, better cars, and that's quite okay, right? So when brands create content that fits into that theme, Nigerians, they lap it up. Look at even some of the advertisement. Then for inspirational content as well, we love the grass to grace story. In Nigeria, we root for the underdog. In fact, a former presidential candidate actually ran using that model and inspirational content. I had no shoes, and became the president.
Yeah.
So, and that message reverberated from Port Harcourt to Benin, to Lagos, to Kano, right? Because Nigerians want somebody to just, if you look at some of the people that, in quotes, blow on social media, right? Probably like Olajumoke, probably a lady that was walking and somebody sees her like, oh, this guy can actually be, it's just aspirational, it's just inspirational. Oh, this lady was doing this, and then somebody took her from the streets and now she's modeling for GQ and the likes, right? So we respond to those kind of content. Humorous content. There's a reason why, and I think it's also a form of escapism for Nigerians and probably Africans for some of the problems that we are facing.
So just those last.
So Nigerians want to feel good. We want to, as I was coming here, there was crazy traffic, at a time when there shouldn't be traffic, so I was already a bit disturbed. And then, but maybe I'm in my car, I can watch a video on probably one of the leading platforms and just cool down and just feel good. And I'm ready to go on with my day, So, especially for probably low income earners, who, and you can hear the sound of generator from your neighbor, right? You just want to go into a different space, and that phone takes you to a different world.
Absolutely.
It just takes you from Lagos to wherever you want to be. You can actually be in Brazil, you can be in Marbella in Spain, you can be in Cairo in Egypt, just from your phone, right? So Nigerians respond to that. Then the final one is truth. Now, over the past couple of years, the world has become more sensitive, the world has become more inclusive, to different causes, and so Nigerians respond to that truth. So, for example, one of the rave of the moment, which should take center stage, rightly so, is equality. Gender equality and the need for women to be more in leadership positions, to be given their rights.
I'm listening.
So basically, right, that has kind of like led the conversation over the past few years. You have the Me Too. There's more focus on sexual harassment than ever before now. Ensuring that people actually behave in the right manner. Right. So for brands that are brave enough to jump on those conversations and actually actualize it, and because their consumers really care. But these are things that affect their daily life. When it comes to sexual harassment now, for example, there was the data that says that probably 1 in 4 lady in Nigeria has been harassed. So that's like, it's a problem, so, and it's a problem that we need everybody from government to policymakers to stakeholders, religious leaders to tackle it, right? I saw one clip online this week about some not sure school students or primary school, and they were singing one song that talks about, if you touch me in private, I'm going to tell my parents.
Oh,
I feel that was really, really interesting, very good, because children are really, really, naive. They could be preyed on by predators, right? So that kind of campaign was really good. And if, for example, a brand feels, I'm confident enough to want to take a stand, to stand for my consumers and what they really care about. Because if somebody is abused when he or she was young, it could really affect the trajectory of that person's life for the next 20, 30 years.
Absolutely.
What that does is that the person doesn't fulfill potential to the max, and they can't even contribute to the development of the nation as a whole. So when the Nigerian government, for example, is looking at sexual harassment as a case study to say we want to invest in a communication campaign to reduce sexual harassment from maybe 50% that it is right now to 10% next year, the ROI for them is not just that alone, is that these people can become more responsible, more productive. They can become more productive, members of society in the years to come, right? So that's just it. Inspirational, aspirational, humorous, and the truth.
Guys, are you getting schooled? Because I've always seen content creation as maybe something that, yes, you can plan it, right? Just look at your environment and see what happens. But I'm not sure I really heard the many technical parts of it like this from you, especially the way you just broke down, creating content for Nigerians to the fore. That's inspirational, aspirational, humor, and truth. I mean, that's very, very important. I like the fact that I even brought up the data talk. It's very, very important. We're going to go into more. Let's have a short break and then we're back for more of this.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They will make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insight on African millennials on Africa Business Radio. Towards a profitable Africa.
That's cool on the beat.
Welcome back, guys. I'm really, really enjoying this conversation with Muyiwa Babarinde. First of all, Muyiwa, what are your social media handles?
Oh, okay. So on Instagram, that will be Muyiwa_Babarinde.
Okay.
And on Twitter, on LinkedIn, Muyiwa Babarinde as well. But on Twitter, it's slightly different, and there's a story for that. Okay. So it's Muyi El Nino, right?
El Nino.
Yeah.
Why
so
El Nino?
That was my nickname when I was in secondary school. I was a good footballer, right? And I support Liverpool, the best team in England. Yeah. So,
no.
And then no, what?
No. I'm a Man U fan. I'm not going to allow that slide.
Okay, no problem. So, basically,
it's not going to.
El Nino, I was a good footballer when I was in secondary school. And
why would you say this on this show? Oh God. Yes, as we were saying.
Oh God. An Arsenal fan is talking. Oh God. Well, my hearts go out to them.
There's a Chelsea fan being angry here.
I saw one meme during the week. So they put the Arsenal team of 2004.
Oh, this is Gunners
and then unknown gunmen.
One is Pep, one is Kekena Pep.
What? Well, it's okay. Arsenal is the best team in England. Anyway, so El Nino, Fernando Torres was one of my best players then, and then I was giving that name. So, Muyi El Nino, MUYIELNINO, on Twitter, and on Instagram, Muyiwa_Babarinde.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I don't know, man, we have just about 2 minutes to go on this, and I can't believe it's 30 minutes so fast. First of all, will you come back on the show, please?
Oh, definitely.
Okay,
it
good.
Would be a pleasure.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, good. Now, let me just throw this in. How important is it for organizations to actually improve on, or always check on what they've done before and improve on it?
Well, because the world is not stopping for you.
Okay.
Right? So, there was something that Steve Jobs said. I can't remember the exact quote, but I'm going to paraphrase. When you go ahead and do something brilliant, go ahead and do something more brilliant.
Oh, okay.
Right? So when you do something really, really great that shapes the world or shapes your consumer's life, so to speak, or helps them become a better version of themselves or improve their productivity, whichever industry you're in, then go do something better than that the next time. So for example, I'll use the example of Steve Jobs before we round up. I know in 2001 when they were launching the iPods, they said 1 million songs in your pocket.
Exactly.
No. 1,000 songs in your pocket. Right? The iPod was transformative for people in the music industry. It was amazing from Walkman to iPod, right? But then it didn't really stop on that. Less than 10 years later, he launched the iPhone at a point whereby all the phones had QWERTY keypads and the likes of that, and then really changed the way phones were being created all over the world. Now, 2021, they launched, Apple Music, 1 million songs in your pocket, right? So the world is constantly evolving, and as businesses, even your content has to keep on changing because your consumers are improving, like their lives are changing as well. They're leaving university, they're getting jobs. From jobs, they're becoming senior managers. They're having different set of problems. So you have to meet them at that point as well. So that's it.
I mean, that's very good. In fact, conversation we had last was about Gen Zs, and Mofadi really came with a whole lot of interesting insight on that. So you can imagine someone really just playing and thinking that millennials is the next thing. How many years time? Not knowing that some people are really, holding down conversations on the internet. I mean, guys, don't. We've come to the end of this episode. Not the end of the conversation with Muyiwa Babarinde, because I would really love to have him back in the studio sometime. So, of course, right after this, I'm sure you can go back to listen to this edition. Again, share it. Of course, check Spotify podcast, Google podcast, and Apple podcast. Just search the African Millennials, on it, and then share it to people you want to share it with. Don't forget to check out the African Millennial radio show on Instagram. That's THEAMRS, and also check out past episodes on Africa Business Radio. And on this note, I would say this wonderful Wednesday afternoon, get back to work, do things, enjoy the rest of the weekend. Yes, please stay safe.
All right.
Muyiwa, thanks for coming.
Thank you very much, Tommy.
Yeah, bye.
It's been a pleasure.
They are 1.8 billion globally. They would make 75% of workforce by 2025. They will outspace earnings of baby boomers in less than 10 years. Smartphones and tablets are the argument settlers and fact checkers for every conversation. Get more insights on African millennials on Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.
We are the wind in the sails of your business. We are your compass. Chart your course towards your targets. Africa Business Radio, towards a profitable Africa.